Hey guys, last time I shared how I got scammed $5,000 on a graded PSA card, and wow, your response was crazy. So many people reached out to offer their condolences and offer their support, but more importantly for this video, I got so many questions like asking how the card was fake, what does altered even mean, and what actually happened to the person who sold it to me. So today, I'm going to try to answer everything and show you guys up close and break down exactly what went wrong. So first up, how was the card faked? Basically, the scammer took a fake PSA 9 Charizard Legendary Collection, cracked it out, and saved the label. Then they got a fake PSA casing online, slipped a different card inside, and paired it with the original real label. That's what made this so convincing. The label was real. I can't stress that enough. A lot of people asked me why I didn't blacklight check it or how I couldn't tell that the label was fake, but the label was a legitimate PSA label. And the card itself was real, but it just wasn't the original PSA 9 that was graded. For example, here's an old label I kept from a card that I cracked out a while ago. I keep these for records and keepsake, not for scams. But you can see how easy it is to get a hold of one. Now imagine I bought a fake PSA case online, I'm not gonna share where they're from or how to get them, but they're everywhere. And imagine I paired them together. Now you have a real PSA label paired with a legitimate copy of whatever card you're trying to fake, but just in a fake PSA casing. And that's exactly the method that was used against me. The next question I get a lot is, what does altered even mean? Well, altered means that the card has been tampered with. That could mean recolored edges, pressed creases, trimmed corners, or some type of manipulation. In my case, the Charizard had been colored along the edges on the back. And while it might seem like a pretty simple thing to catch, collectors have become used to trusting PSA slabs. A real label inside of a slab usually means that we don't even think to question it, especially at a show. So what exactly was altered with the Charizard? Now let me show you the actual fake Charizard that I got. So this is the exact card I got in the trade. And from the front, it looks almost perfect, just like a PSA 9 should. The fireworks pattern even matches up on the card with the original PSA scans exactly. And what I mean by that is the fireworks pattern, see where it's the circles here? They match the same location within the text that the original PSA scan had. And that's what made it super convincing. But once you flip it over, that's when you start to see problems. So if you look closely along the edge, I'm going to try to zoom in here, but there's some surface issue right there. And that might be some sort of residue on the card or some moisture they got on it. But not only that, if you look really closely, you can see that there's some blue parts of the card that look like they were colored in with a blue marker of some sort, maybe even a Sharpie. And that's the problem. That's what's altered on the card. Super hard to tell. There you go, right there. See how it's a little bit different shade of a blue than typical? But you have to zoom in really closely or get the light to shine just perfectly to see that. So up close it's obvious, but at a card show, almost impossible to catch. And it wasn't even just this card. Here's the other Charizard that I got in the trade, and this one's been deemed altered by CGC instead. So from the front, it also looks clean, almost even like a borderline 8 or 9. But if you look at the bottom edge, you can see it's been trimmed. And it's really hard to tell unless you're actually looking for it. If I flip it over, it's a lot easier to distinguish. So I don't know if you can see it, but this part of the border is a lot thinner than this part. And that could be a miscut, but looking at it closely, I totally agree with what CGC's determined, that this card has been trimmed. But before I mention that, you probably wouldn't have noticed, which is exactly why the scam worked. And if I flip it back over to the front, you can tell a little bit, not as obviously because the blue border is a little bit striking on the back, but the orange border on this side isn't a flat cut across the card. And again, that can happen from the factory, but this one's a little bit egregious, and if I cracked this card out, I don't believe it would be flat along the bottom. So this card at the time was worth $5,000. It's probably a $7,000 card now. And this card in similar condition, I would estimate to be around $1,500 to $2,000. So the total scam, depending on when you're valuing it, is way over $5,000. I mean, even at the time, it was more than $5,000, but this Charizard wasn't the centerpiece of the deal. Another big question I get is, who scammed you and why can't we do anything about them? So the person who scammed me is named Eli, and he lives in Chicago. I know his full name and his address, and so do the investigators in Chicago Police Department, but I won't share that here for legal reasons. If you want to know more about this individual, you can check out Rattle's video. I'll have it linked down below in the description. Rattle made a video about this individual, and he might even have a part 2, I'm not sure, but he's been doing some digging, and a lot of this information is readily available online. So why weren't we able to catch him? Well, it's a bit more complicated than just having his name and address. The police did reach out to him, but he never responded. And without a written contract or legal agreement, they told me they couldn't pursue it further unless I hired my own legal team. That would take more time, money, and resources than it was worth, especially since I'm not local to that area. So, where are we now? Well, I still have both cards sitting in my collection, and they're basically a very expensive reminder of what not to do at a card show and to be more careful when handling with bigger cards. I'm actually sending both to Fanatics auction real soon, where you can bid on it to add it to your collection if you want a cheaper alternative. There's still beautiful examples of vintage Charizards, and just because they're altered doesn't mean that they don't have value. Altered cards sell all the time, and these two should not be viewed any differently. I've also tightened up how I buy cards, especially higher end ones, and especially at shows. I double check search now and verify it with PSA's database, and you can definitely limit risk by only dealing with trusted dealers. So, if you took one thing away from this, it's to always double check, even if the slab looks legit. If I can get fooled, so can everyone else. I look at these shows every single day all year round, and even I was fooled by this, so that means anyone can be fooled. If a deal's too good to be true, it most likely is. Many of you guys reached out to me to tell me that you had similar experiences in this hobby, and I'm very sorry to hear that. And some of them were even worse than mine. I'll keep trying to share what I learned on this channel, so if you have more questions, please drop them down below. And if you want me to break down any other scams in this hobby, please leave a suggestion down below. And if you enjoy this content, leave a like and subscribe. And I appreciate all the support from everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.